pirated that test because that was supposed to be destroyed 6 years ago. Dear, oh dear. It was when Stephen saw that plonker on screen that he decided this film could never be live action.
Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Jackson, obviously. Welcome to San Diego. Peter, we know you got your hands full in New Zealand. It's wonderful to see you here. It probably speaks to how excited you are about this collaboration. Tell us a little bit about working with Stephen on this. That must have been very exciting for you.
Oh, well, obviously working with Stephen's been pretty amazing. You know, I think he shows real promise. If he decides to stick with filmmaking, I think he could really go places. No, it's been absolutely fantastic. You know, the weird thing is that because Stephen got the rights to Tintin back in 1983, I mean, I was a young filmmaker. I was actually halfway through making Bad Taste back then, and so I'd read magazines, you know, read stories about Stephen and hear about him making Tintin. So I was a huge Tintin fan. I read the books, collected the books since I was 5 or 6 years old, and I was looking forward to Stephen's Tintin movie. I was kind of looking forward to it for a quarter of a century. And you know, you can't imagine the mind-blowing moment when Stephen invited me on board. You know, very difficult decision, had to think about it for 2-3 seconds. But it's been an absolute joy, absolute pleasure.
You know, in a sense, what really bonded us on this is we come at it different ways. Peter learned how almost to reading Tintin when he was a little boy, and I came at it as an adult from the story I just told you. But in the sense that we're both Tintin fans, and that's the reason we collaborated with this from the very beginning.
What did you see as the biggest challenge with this particular property or this project?
Well, I think it was just getting the story told to the extent that we wanted the movie to look like the drawings in the Hergé albums and all the Hergé adventures. We didn't want to cast actors to look like the actors we cast and then have everybody say, well, it was good. They sort of looked like Captain Haddock or like the Thompson twins or like Tintin himself, but it wasn't exactly a direct translation art to art. You're all here because you love art. We all love art. We love art so much we wanted to honor Hergé by using animation to get as close as we could to the characters he invented, not characters that we would then reinvent based on big names, big movie stars that would look like big movie stars.
And I mean, you know, the idea with the look of it was, as Stephen says, to create, you know, characters in a 3D world, in an animated world that look as close as we could certainly get to Haddock and Tintin and the Thompsons and the other characters. But we also wanted to make it as much of a hybrid of animation and live action as we possibly could. So we wanted, even though the characters have these, you know, these faces that you could never find in a real human being, we still wanted to have the pores in the skin, the freckles, the stubble, the sweat. You know, we wanted to have it a sort of have a texture and a detail, a level of detail that whilst, you know, you're never going to believe it's live action, it almost looks like live action. And that also extended to the filmmaking, that we wanted, because neither Stephen and I are very good on computers, we wanted to find, I mean, I clearly sent an email, true, I mean, he's a little bit better than I am, but I can't, anyway. You know, we wanted to create a version of animation and motion capture that allowed the filmmaker, allowed Stephen to step inside this sort of virtual world that we created with the characters, with the locations and the sets, which were all built over a 2 or 3 year period ahead of the actual shoot. But Stephen could shoot the movie. I mean, you know, there's a lot talked about animation, motion capture, but this is like a hybrid where Stephen had a virtual camera and was able to step in and film it almost as if it's a live action film. And just as a fan of Stephen's work, I mean, one of the things about Tintin that I'm always excited about whenever I see the movie in its different stages is that it's a film that Stephen personally shot. I mean, he had the camera in his hand the whole time, and so it was almost like shooting out the old 8mm films.
It was the closest experience to, because I had to do, I think, because it was it's like a PlayStation game controller with a 6-inch color monitor in between, and you're all completely up to date about this technology, but you look up and you see actors in motion capture suits in a white basketball court we call the volume, but I would look down into the monitor and there would be the characters, the actual, real-time Tintin, not fully animated, well, that we'll give you a little sample in a few minutes, but enough that I could actually be in the world of Tintin, getting all of my shots, planning all of my angles.
You said, I saw you quoted maybe almost a year ago saying that this movie made you feel more like a painter than you had ever felt, and that speaks to that sort of the technology distilling the filmmaking process.
It does, because one person can do the lighting, can push the camera, can be the electrician, the dolly grip, can tweak the makeup, the hair. It really is more, it gets, even though there's hundreds of animators that have to animate, 5 hours to animate every single frame of this film, still putting together the story and putting together the actual performance capture, you do a lot of jobs at the same time, which I normally do. You're very, very talented, 15 to 100 to 200, people on our crew. But this is much more of a direct to canvas art form, I found.
Steven Spielberg, dolly grip.
Yeah.
So Peter, one of the things that you were talking about Tintin earlier when we were chatting about it was that it means different things to different readers at different ages. That was very interesting. Some of the nuances and layers. Could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, my experience with Tintin is looking at the books before I could read, really, when I was 5, 6 years old. And then, you look at the pictures, you can follow the stories, because Hergé designed these books often like storyboards. I mean, they're almost like silent movies, although once you do learn to read, you start to realize how anarchic some of the characters are and how exciting the stories are. But I looked at Tintin when I was young as like the older brother I never had, and having the adventures that I dreamt of having, but part of me didn't ever want to get shot at or have to, get chased by bad guys. So it has that, that wonderful escapist quality. But then as you get older and you look at the books as an adult, there's layers of social statement that Hergé was making, because he wrote these books between 1927, 28, and right into the 1980s. And so that's, those decades, a lot happened in the world, and especially in Hergé's life, before World War II, during, and then after World War II. And you start to appreciate the world that he was living in, and the satire and the parody that he was putting into, and some serious statements as well. But also you recognise the influences that he was under, because there's definitely a love of Hollywood adventure films in those stories, and there's silent movies, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin. So when we were making the film, we kind of wanted to make it to try to have the different layers that Hergé had built into it. We haven't tried tonally to do anything different at all than what was in the books.
You guys want to take a look at some Tintin?